So this is my Verizon HTC Trophy. I'm doing a review after it's been out for a year. Yes, I know. I do very old reviews. This is a 3.8-inch display. Look at the side, it's not too thick. It's a pretty light phone. Has a 5 megapixel camera, does 720p video. With the flash. So this phone has been owned for a year and it's in pretty good shape. In terms of screen brightness, it's pretty good. No issues with the screen's pretty nice. Also, if you take off the battery cover, gives access to the battery. Underneath is the SIM card slot. There's no SD card. This phone comes in both 8GB and 16GB models, so if you need space you probably have to get the 16GB. This is the 16GB version. So again, there's no SD card slot. This is running Windows 7.5 Mango. As you can see, it's really responsive, the UI. When you're texting and stuff, it's pretty fast. I've never really felt it slow down while texting. Phone calls, I'll get to that later, but I'll just talk about some other stuff. Looking at the phone, it's your typical HTC design phone. This is very similar to the HTC Radar and other HTC phones. I'm running T-Mobile on this phone. What's it called? It's actually a Verizon phone, but it's a world phone, so if you just get it unlocked for about $4, you can get an unlock code and you can use it with any GSM carrier that uses SIM card. The main problem about running T-Mobile is that the 3G data speeds, the 3G data frequencies are running on AT&T, so you might be able to get some 3Gs in some areas, but for the most part you'll be running on Edge. If you're running AT&T or any type of AT&T carrier, you probably have better opportunity to use 3G data. But I can live without that because Wi-Fi runs pretty well on this phone. In terms of reception, let's see if I can show you. If you slide down like this, you can see the display. Right now I'm getting 5-bar signal strength. In comparing this phone to an iPhone, it's roughly about the same. When I'm at work, I don't get that good signal, and it's similar to the phone I had previously, which is the iPhone. So I would say the reception on this phone is average. Call quality is pretty good when you get a good reception. If you get 3 bars or more, perfectly fine. People can hear you. You can hear them fine. Anything at 2 bars or less, you can hear other people fine, but when you're talking to them, they probably can't. It goes in and out. The speakers on here aren't too loud. They're just average. They're not crystal clear, but definitely usable. And of course, this is the Windows 7.5 interface. These live tiles. We go into settings. Not much in terms of customizability. If I go under to theme, there's only like 10 colors I can choose from, and you're kind of stuck with these live tiles that as you add more live tiles to your start button, you have to just scroll all the way to the bottom and try to find stuff. And then if you go to the right where it lists all of your applications, this huge list. So there's no widgets, but you have live tiles. The thing is, as you add more tiles, you just have to scroll a lot to the very bottom to find them. So it's not exactly fast, because I think Android, the way it's organized, and even the iPhones, it's you can kind of get to things a little quicker because you can just change the page. or in Android you have widgets, so you can go to things very quickly. The other thing is like email. I had to create different. I have quite a few different email accounts, so for me to access them, I have to put separate tiles for them. Like I have 2 Google emails, so here you see 2 tiles, one for Hotmail, another tile. Kind of wish there was just one central place to access it. So as you can see, the design of Windows 7.5 is very simplistic, but there's some things where you kind of wish you could have like one central point to access things, so it'd be even simpler. Supposed to get the Windows 7.8 update on this phone, but it still hasn't arrived. Waiting for Verizon to release it. You can force the update using a tool, which I forgot what it's called, but there's a tool that will force the Windows 7.8 update. But as I mentioned, it's very fast. If you log on to the web, it's very fast too. Let's go to Yahoo. One kind of strange thing is, like, as you see, I was on YouTube here. Loads up the web page fast for Yahoo. There is no YouTube app. I mean, there is a YouTube app, but it just takes you to Internet Explorer, YouTube. Some kind of thing going on with that, I'm not sure. So a lot of scrolling with this Windows 7.5. So no issues about this phone running slow, even though it's a 1 GHz processor with 512 megabytes of RAM. Didn't test the Bluetooth. You know, when you're using navigation, the Bluetooth is kind of convenient because it does voice messaging while you're driving, so that's kind of nice. I think it works on this one. I haven't tested it, of course, so I know it worked on HTC Radar. The 5 megapixel camera on this is more than adequate. Just press the camera button, hold, and you can take pictures by pressing the middle, or you can press and hold that to take pictures. Very easy design for taking pictures. You can get into, whoops, it's very easy. You can either press that to take a picture, or press and hold that button to take a picture. Up and down to zoom, the settings over here. So the camera's pretty good, pretty decent. To take video, HD video is okay. Kinda stutters, so it's not high frame rate. I think it's like 30 frames per second. When you try to view a video, let me see if I can find a video and play it. It's kinda stutters a bit. So that's the one thing that kind of lags on your phone. But overall, it's definitely a usable camera. So I mentioned the sound on this. It's not that loud. It's a world phone. You just need to get unlocked. The last thing I wanted to mention was app support. So there are games. If you go to games over here, I'll show you a list of some of the games I installed. Blackjack, Video Poker, Doors. A lot of these games you probably haven't heard of. And so there are a lot of free games. I mean, some of them are pretty decent. Most of the free games you get are pretty average. Windows has finally gotten games like Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja. They cost 99 cents. They have Draw Something Words with Friends for $2.99. So they do have the more popular games available finally, but they all cost money. I mean, if you have an iPhone or Android phone, those games are all for free, so that may be a cause for concern. And then all the new apps or games that are coming aren't available for Windows yet, like Candy Crush Saga isn't available if you're into those kind of puzzle games. But then again, you do have access to Xbox Live type of apps and games, so if you're, that might be something that you really enjoy. But for me, not having free games and newer games is kind of a downer, since I was on an iPhone and Android phone. So the very last thing I wanted to mention was that to use this phone to access pictures, videos, and music, you will need to use Zune, and I won't really show a video of Zune, but if you've used it, it's just as kind of, it's not very super easy to use. If you're using an Android phone, I think that's probably the easiest, because you can just drag and drop because Explorer opens. This one you have to sync the phone, sort of like iTunes, and so that's kind of, it's okay. So overall, you know, I'm probably not going to use this phone anymore. I just wanted to get it for testing and then install Windows 7.8 to use it. Still a lot of features I haven't used on this phone, so it's definitely a usable phone. So good luck if you decide to get this.